Good morning, metalheads of the internet. Welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today, we're talking with Rody Walker from the Juno Award winning Canadian progressive metal band Protest the Hero. Enjoy.
Hey, Robert, how you doing?
Doing great, Rody. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing very well, thank you very much.
If I may say right off the bat, it is a pleasure to have you on here. I'm a longtime Protest the Hero fan. I remember when you guys played, I think it was at the Mod Club 2014, 2015. You did Volition in full.
Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah.
I think
that's
so.
awesome,
Like
man.
my
Thank you
memory
very
could
much.
be fucking with me right now.
Yeah, that might have been the Kazayad tour. Might it have been? I don't know. I'm trying to think the last time we played the Mod Club was the Kazayad tour, but I don't fucking know.
It's definitely been a while. I don't even think the Mod Club exists anymore. I don't.
I think we're going to be surprised at the end of this what clubs we do remember still existing, right? Like, it's like, who knows if they're all going to be there or not.
Yeah,
The
unfortunately.
Bovines trying to sell T-shirts to stay above water, right?
Mm-hmm. Because I know there were some clubs that were some venues, I should say, that we were doing construction on, or they were finishing construction, that were supposed to open. Like the Elmo Combo was shut down for forever, and they were supposed to open up right before the COVID lockdown, and here we are a year later.
Yeah, miserable timing.
Yeah. Oh, let's switch the conversation. Let's not talk about how the world has gone to shit. We got plenty of time to do that.
Sure. You got it, man.
First, I just want to welcome you to the Metal Meltdown, and I want to ask you right off the bat, Protest the Hero just got nominated for 2 Juno Awards, including Metal Hard
Yes,
Music Album of the Year. How do you feel about that?
I feel good. I mean, like, a lot of my family has been congratulating me, which is wonderful. You know, it's like sometimes when you're doing this thing for as long as we have and you're growing up, people kind of look at you with like a cocked eyebrow and sort of go, the fuck are you doing, man? You're 34 years old and you're just like in a band that doesn't even tour. So a couple of Juno nods certainly offer some validation.
And this is your 3rd time nominated for this particular award, isn't it? Because you won for Volition, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we won for Volition. We were nominated for Palimpsest. No, sorry, we were nominated for the EP one that we did, Pacific Myth. And we were actually nominated before that in the rock category for Fortress, but it went to Sam Roberts, as I'm sure the one in the rock category will this year as well.
Understandable to some extent. Probably one of the biggest rock bands we have right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd like to see Silverstein win that, but in my heart of hearts, I kind of know that it's going to be Sam Roberts again. Stealing the dreams of all the hardworking bands in Canada.
Yeah, and
I'm sure he's very hardworking.
And I liked all the albums in that category. I actually really liked that July Talk album, but yeah, let's be honest, it's probably going to Sam Roberts.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say Canadian rock and not immediately think of Sam Roberts. Or maybe
no.
Sloan.
I mean,
they're synonymous.
I think the first time I even turned on like a Canadian radio rock station, like Q107 or The Edge or some shit like that, they were literally playing Sam Roberts. Because they had that
100%.
Like that big single I Feel You back in like 2009 or something, was it?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really know any of his category. I don't know any of his music. I met him one time at a Feldman Christmas party when I was a teenager, but that's about it.
I assume you'd want to win the award, but if not, who would you like to see the Metal Hard Music Album Award go to?
Me. I mean, I don't want to see it go to anyone else. I've never heard of these other bands.
Fair enough.
I should be humble and say, like, Behold the Archers or something like that, but I don't know. I want to win. That's just how it is. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm sure they all feel the same way. The only time I felt differently is when we were nominated the year that we won, the Flatliners were also nominated, and they got a bunch of flack from a bunch of like elitist gatekeepers being like, they're not heavy metal, they don't belong to be here. And in that scenario, I was actually rooting against myself. I was rooting for the Flatliners because I hate elitist buggers like that trying to like get in the way and gatekeep. And the Flatliners are one of my favorite bands.
I have to confess, I do like the Flatliners now, and I like that album. But at the time, I was in kind of an edgy metal phase where I'm just like, if it's not like old school thrash and death, I don't care. So I was kind of looking at that and going like, what the fuck? It didn't go to Gorguts? What the fuck? What the fuck is this Flatliner shit? But no, that's
So I'm hoping for myself. I mean, but you know what? These things are kind of like I kind of think of the Junos, or at least this category, as like goaltender interference calls in the NHL. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, I don't know, the biggest band, the most obvious band, the most obvious choice doesn't always make it. This is so arrogant, referring to myself as the most obvious choice, because we're not.
But you're probably you're probably the biggest name nominated here, at least from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, maybe, but I think it could go any way. So there's no point in being like, oh, we got this in the bag, Like no matter how good we feel about our record, it could go any fucking way. Mandroid Echo Star beat us once. Nobody's ever heard of Mandroid Echo Star.
God, that's right. I think they even opened for you at that Mod Club show I was telling you about. That was
yeah, of course.
And that was weird too, because not only you guys, but Devin Townsend had a big record, a Despised Icon had a big record, and in comes Mandroid Echo Star out of nowhere, just winning.
Yeah, but you know what? Mandroid Echo Star is a great band. They deserve it. So, I mean, like, as much as it's like, you can't really predict it based on popularity, right? It's not a popularity contest. And that's better. I mean, like, hopefully there's an impartial jury that sits down and listens to all these records and decides which ones they like the best.
Absolutely.
And in that scenario, like, that's the best of both. That's the best of any world, best case scenario. And then any of these bands nominated have the best chance. Because it's like, I don't know. It's objective.
Yeah, no, I mean, it could go any way. I mean, that's always why I preferred the Junos over something like the Grammys, because it always felt like they actually listened to a lot of the music that they were nominating, and they were actually carefully considering what they thought was the best of the year.
Now, I will say that I went to one of the Juno celebrations, and it was like, I watched Chad Kroeger win a bunch of awards.
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
Do you really think that this is like the best thing that we came out with this year? Like, so much we're gonna like. He made some joke about like bringing lawn chairs on stage because they were receiving so many awards, they might as well not go back to their seats.
Oh God!
And it was like,
all right, I'm gonna take back my comment then. I didn't realize Nickelback had won that many.
Nickelback is a huge band, and like they wouldn't be able to like sell out the stadiums or have the like fucking platinum records that they have if people didn't love it. But in the same, I'm thinking you put that record up against another one for me personally. Any other Canadian release, I'm probably going to choose whatever the other option is.
Yeah, literally any other Canadian release.
Yeah.
And the award for good music goes to anyone other than Nickelback.
Yeah, everyone else, not just anyone. But I mean, it's not really fair to pick on Nickelback because it's like such an easy target because they're like pure cheese.
That's fair. I mean, they're also so big that it's like they can take the hit. So I think that's also why we're always like, man, fuck Nickelback.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
You know, it's the same reason why you'll see like a lot of elitists who are just like, yeah, fuck Metallica and fuck Justin Bieber because they're easy targets. It doesn't matter if the music is actually good; they're just an easy target.
Yeah, and I don't care what people say about Metallica, but if anybody breathes a bad word about my J-Beebs, they're dead to me.
Are you a believer? Are you a believer, Rody Walker?
I don't know, man. I've heard a couple of the songs that he does, like that "Lonely" or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
it's a good song. I mean, he sings it well. It's produced well. You can't hate, right?
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of my thing. I think in my edgier years, I really despised him for me as well, I had a younger sister, and she had all the CDs and all these posters. But now I kind of look at it and I'm like, man, whatever. I don't give a shit. He'll sleep
Yeah.
he'll sleep fine at night regardless of how I feel about him, and I'll sleep fine at night regardless of how he feels about me. So fuck it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, like, guys like you and I, like, we don't give a fuck about pop music really anyway. Like, that's not where my interest is. I'm not, like, 13 years old. It's not really catered at me. Every now and again I hear it while I'm browsing TikTok or something like that, and I go, hey, that's all right. And then I move on. I don't really spend much time, attention, and especially not money on it, but, like, it's non-offensive. It is what it is. Like, who gives a fuck?
Exactly.
And I think the difference between that and Nickelback is, like, Nickelback lives in this state of, like, rock music where I kind of hold them a little responsible for the disdain and maybe death of rock music in the pop culture arena. So it's like, I feel a little more offended personally by Nickelback than I do by some other, like, huge pop star.
Oh yeah, I mean, not Nickelback. Some of the stuff they've written is just like, what? Like, I remember they did that song. I remember this was the first time I even heard of Nickelback. Years ago, they did that song for the first Spider-Man movie. And they had that opening line, I'm so high, I can hear heaven. And I'm just like, the fuck does that have to do with Spider-Man? Like, even as a kid, I was like, what the fuck does this have to do with Spider-Man?
Spider-Man be swinging up so high.
I guess. I don't know. As a kid, I was just like, is he smoking? Is that what this is about? Does Spider-Man smoke the pot?
Yeah, but I feel like that's the kind of thing, like, people heard that and were like, oh yeah, no, rock and roll sucks, and I don't ever want to fucking fuck with it again, right? When it's like, it all lives underground now, and that's okay. That's a better place for angry music.
Oh, absolutely. I think I kind of prefer where rock and hardcore and metal is now, because it lives on in the underground, but the underground is so vibrant now. It's not like it was 20 years ago, where it's all just like hardcore punk and fucking death metal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know, what do the people who appreciate that kind of music want? Like, do you want it, like, on MTV and, like, everywhere in everyone's face all the time? Because then it's just, like, it'll become a perversion of itself, and it'll get all diluted, and it'll suck, and it'll go away again.
Yeah, and not to mention those same people will be like, oh, it's sold out because it's on MTV now. It's sold out because they sold 5 copies of an album.
Yeah.
It's like,
we got called sellouts real hard when we did the Indiegogo campaign. I got hit up by this girl that just, like, would not leave me alone, just being like, fuck you should be selling CDs out of the back of your van in front of the dungeon.
No one does that. No one does that.
This is my career.
Like, the only people that are doing that are the ones that aren't doing it for a living. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I play at a bar every Tuesday night or something, just to hang out.
Yeah. Like, old fogies that just want to, like, rock, and that's good for them. But this is my job.
You can't please everyone at the end of the day.
But yeah, I mean, that was interesting at that time anyway, because it was like, the crowdfunding campaigns were relatively new, so people weren't yet, like, accustomed to how they felt about it, and you just, like, took one stance or the other. You were either like, this is cool, I'm down with it, or you're like, fuck this.
I remember really liking the idea. If I'm not mistaken, you funded Volition completely through crowdfunding, didn't you?
That's right, yeah.
I remember, because that was right around the point where I'm starting to kind of get out of my death and thrash phase, and that album came out, and I was just like, holy fuck, it's fast and it's heavy, and they literally made it all by themselves. That's badass.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it was cool, man. It was a cool time.
It's been roughly 9 months since Palimpsest came out, going back to not pleasing everyone. I've spoken to some fans who are upset because you got political, their words. How do you respond to these fans, and how do you feel about the overall response to Palimpsest?
I mean, I'm very happy with the response. I knew that the album would be somewhat polarizing, But, I mean, to anyone who says we got political, it's like they haven't been listening. You know, like we put out our first offering in 1999 as Happy Go Lucky, and the song was called Silent Genocide, about the economic sanctions on Iraq.
Jesus.
You know, it's like,
I didn't even know that. Holy fuck.
Yeah, we've been political since day fucking one, right? Like, you think Kazaya is a concept record? It's just like a story. Might take a little more investigation. You know what I mean? Like, so as much as it's like I get it because these are very divisive times, and people see something like our record with a big bull blinded by the American flag, and they go, "Oh, this is political." Those people weren't listening very, very well before, you know, because it's never not been, to some degree, political. It's always been a very important point for us to be saying something, you know?
Not to mention, just like, it amazes me that so many people just don't realize music, even if it's not about politics, is inherently kind of political. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's Protest the Hero or Bob Dylan or some fucking Katy Perry song. What you buy has political consequences. What you listen to has political consequences.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you think...
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm cool with people not liking it because of the lyrics. You know, like, it is what it is. But really, the only people that I could imagine being particularly offended by it are somewhat far right leaning individuals, and those people are fucking idiots anyway. So
yeah,
you know, like there was an article, I forget what, it was one of the like heavy metal fucking like the fucking, I forget what you call it, but like the heavy metal like the Weekly World News or something like that. You know, TMZ but heavy metal.
Like
garbage.
Is it Blabbermouth?
I don't think it was Blabbermouth. I honestly don't remember which one it was because I have no issue putting something on blast like that. I just don't fucking remember. But they released one.
Fair enough.
When we released the record, I did a bunch of interviews, and they didn't even do the interview with me, but they released this headline that was like, "Singer for Protest the Hero says about conservative fans, fuck them." You know, and it was like, it made it seem like I had said fuck people who have like a conservative belief or believe in like fiscally responsible government, which is like hilarious. It was like, that's not who I'm talking about. That's not who I'm talking about on the album. That's not who I've ever spoken about. I'm talking about fucking the extreme right.
Yeah, the alt-right, neo-Nazis, QAnon, that kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's like they put it out like I'm just like hating on people that are voting for the Ford family. Well, I don't love Doug Ford, but it's just bullshit politics.
Yeah. I definitely don't love Doug Ford. I could sit here for a while talking about that motherfucker.
Yeah. But in that scenario, like, I can also appreciate the position that he's in. And I like, this is getting so off track, but I would just like to say in relation to Doug Ford that the failures of his government are not necessarily entirely the fault of his own government. They are in part, but they're also the failures of our government at a federal level, and historically, they are the failures of the Stephen Harper government and the Brian Mulroney government.
Absolutely.
Those two fucking dickheads are the reason why we can't produce this vaccine in Canada. Mm-hmm. So fuck them. Maybe, you know what? Maybe fuck conservatives. Maybe I was right. Maybe
I'm going to backtrack that backtracking.
Yeah.
Hey, that time when they said I didn't say it, and I didn't, I lied. I said it.
I didn't say it, but I do believe it.
It's funny because sometimes I'll get shit here on the Metal Meltdown because I'll have the audacity to remind people that I have my own political ideologies, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're a liberal. You hate this," and I'm like, "I don't hate this. I hate assholes, and I hate you."
Yeah. It's like, it's such a bad thing to have any form of empathy And when you have empathy, you like get labeled with this word liberal, which is like hilarious. Because I love it when people label me liberal, because it's like, man, you have no fucking idea how far left I lean.
Oh yeah.
And it's further than the liberals, who, in my opinion, are actually still right of center.
Oh, absolutely. Most liberals in Canada, in North America, and worldwide for that matter, perhaps with some exceptions, are usually more just like centrist kind of politicians who are like, yeah, we're just doing our thing, you know.
Yeah. We'll endorse some social programs, but ultimately prop up and keep running the capitalist machine.
Mm-hmm.
No worries. Fuck off, right?
Yeah. Do you feel that the album's themes and stories, the deconstructing the myth of the American dream and anti-capitalism, do you think that's made more poignant in these very modern, divisive times?
Yeah, absolutely. The reality is I wrote that record. I wrote the lyrics to that record, I want to say 3 years before it was released, right? So when it was like getting ready to come out, and it's like the pandemic hits, and George Floyd was murdered, and like obviously Trump was running around doing all that fucking shit that he was doing, dismantling the country from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
It just like became more and more relevant as time passed. I was just sitting there going like, man, this was an accident, but it is incredibly well timed. Now, that might detract from, like, it might place this record squarely in this moment in time and not have it become very timeless, but that's a risk I'm willing to take, because I think the timing of it was too perfect. It was kismet or serendipitous, if you will.
I would argue it makes it more timeless because you're talking about these stories that have happened. They happened hundreds of years ago. You know, all these things, and 100 years later, or however many years later, the themes and the basic concepts at the core of these stories are still relevant, and we're still dealing with the consequences of some of these actions. So I would argue, if anything, the record is more timeless because of it.
No, that's a very good point. I wish I had thought to do something on like the Spanish flu, right? Like it's a little before the timeline that I set. Like I went 1919 and to the end of the Second World War. But had I just gone 1917, right, or 1918, it was
damn.
I could have fucking got something in there that would have been eerie.
That would have been scary. That would have been maybe a little too. That would have been a little too timely, frankly. Maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it is. I might be going down in the history books as some kind of Nostradamus-ass motherfucker.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. Like 20, 30 years from now, it's like, Rody, how come you didn't tell the world about COVID? You wrote about it.
Yeah,
you're just like, shit. I don't know.
I was busy getting fat on beer.
We were just sitting around playing tunes. Next thing you know, Trump was president. How was I supposed to know?
Yeah, really.
Oh, man. On top of this, Palimpsest, great record, by the way. That was actually in our top 10 on the Metal Meltdown for the end of the year.
Oh, thank you very much, man.
You also have Scurrilous turning 10 years old this year. In the past, you've done like these big anniversary tours. I imagine that's probably not going to happen this year. Is there any plan to kind of commemorate Scurrilous?
Yeah, you know what? I was trying to film like a video where I was going to sing one of the songs, but I went back over what we have as far as the like stems of the record go, like all the guitar tracks and drums and shit like that, and like they're unmixed, right? So I couldn't really do it. So I'm trying to put something together in the meantime. But while I was sort of looking for that, I got back in contact with the guy who produced the record. His name's Julius Buddy, fantastic dude. I started to talk to him, going, well, what are we what are we doing here? And in our discussion, we sort of got to the point where he's going to mix an instrumental version of the record. So despite the fact that it won't be like out on the day of the anniversary, which I think is like the 22nd of March or something like that, it will hopefully be within the year of its 10th anniversary, and that is one of the only records we haven't released the instrumental for, so hopefully people like that. I don't know.
No, that sounds cool to me. I've always really liked that record. From what I understand, it's one of your more divisive ones, though.
Oh yeah.
I never fully understood that. Maybe you can help me figure it out.
I think there's a couple different reasons. Fortress is very much rooted in like progressive metalcore, as much as it's like that feels bad in my mouth to say that. But like people really liked Fortress. And when we released Scurrilous, it leans heavily on the prog and not so heavily on the core part of the metal stuff. So there was that initially, like right out the gates. It's not as heavy, and it's actually way more technical.
Mm-hmm.
And then combine that with the fact that RF only did 3 of the lyrics on that record, and I took over the rest, and I was a little rusty in my lyric writing ability, so it's not as refined. And you know what, RF was and is extremely gifted. Maybe gifted isn't the right word, because it implies that it's like God-given or something like that, but he's extremely talented when it comes to writing both music and lyric. Like, I don't think anyone will ever touch his lyrics. I just think he is too brilliant. So for someone such as myself to come in and take over that duty, it's like, it's going to have some negative backlash, right? Which I'm okay with. It took some time for people to get accustomed to it, and it's a lot more personal. It's a much more personal take as far as the lyrics go. So I think that's people's big gripe.
No, I mean, because I've always really liked that album. I mean, you guys don't have a single record that I actively dislike at all, so maybe I'm just like, hey, it's all good. I don't get it.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm just like a puppy dog, just like, hey, it's fucking great. What's the problem? Throw the ball.
Yeah. As far as that stuff goes, like I kind of liked the reaction that received, because without that, I wouldn't have had the idea for Pacific Myth, which is sort of a prank on the people that didn't like my lyrics. Because it was just like, I went into it and I was like, you know what, if I wrote a fucking story that was just like all masked and flowery language and poetry, I guarantee you people will fucking love it. They'll eat it up, and it won't mean anything.
Yeah, it'll just be like a bunch of like poetry and symbolism.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I did is I took the like archetypal story of the hero's journey,
mm-hmm.
and I just followed the steps and filled it with flowery language. And the first like handful of songs, people were like, holy fuck, the lyrics are cool, man, they're so cool. And then the last song was kind of like, kiss my balls, you don't know fucking anything. It's really arrogant, but I mean, it's true. Like, I think a lot of people love vague lyrics that they can listen to and be like, oh, like, listen to the way he has said this about the ethereal light or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, these are just like nice words,
mm-hmm.
and they don't mean anything in this context, and a lot of fucking bands do it.
Oh, it's a defining trait of prog metal at this point. Let's be honest here.
So yeah, Pacific Myth lyrically was just lashing out not only at the people that didn't like what I had penned previously, but also the bands that were just like writing nonsense. And even like the concept record is so popular now, but it's like, the idea is, if there is no moral within your story, and as long as you subscribe to the theories of Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, then your story is the same as every other story that's ever been told. So even though you're trying to be more creative by injecting a narrative into your lyrics, you're actually being considerably less creative.
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Did the approach to writing Pacific Myth, did that at all inform how you were going to release the album? Because I remember you released like a song a month for almost 7 months.
Yeah, it was 6 months, right? And that was the plan from the get-go, from the outset. I don't know if you remember, but like way back in the day, and I think they actually still do it now, but NoFX used to do a 7-inch of the month, right? Where it's like once a month they would fucking send out people that were part of this subscription series a 7-inch with a song on it that was previously unreleased. Okay. And we had always wanted to do something like that. So that is the birth of the idea for Pacific Myth, because it's like that is, like really expensive to do, and we don't have time to fucking print a ton of 7-inches and send them out. So we just did it in digital form.
No, I remember thinking it was a great idea, because for 6 months, every single metal website or whatever was talking about new Protest the Hero music.
Yeah, it certainly kept our name on people's lips.
Like, I'm honestly shocked that more bands haven't gone down this route, especially considering the big focus now is singles. Like, singles consistently seem to sell better than the albums on the pop and the rock side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is kind of surprising that more people didn't sort of follow in the footsteps of that, because it was wildly successful, whether people liked it or not. It was extremely successful, and on top of that, it kept us really relevant during that period.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if
I was to do it again, I would write and record the songs in advance.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! Were they not all like recorded in like one sitting, or was it like once a month?
No, once a month I went into the studio and recorded a new song, and then they were like out in the next like week.
Oh shit! I did not know.
It was pretty sick, because it was like, I'm sitting up in my fucking bedroom writing a song, and then a week later I head into the studio, and then a week later it's fucking released. Like, usually with this shit, and like you write it, and then, for instance, Palimpsest wrote it, and then sat on it for 2 years, and then recorded it, and then a year later it came out. So it was like, I'm sitting there just being like, man, I really want people to hear this shit. But with Pacific Myth, it was just like, got it, sounds good, get it out. And it was like instantaneous gratification.
So with did you ever like look back at songs like let's say when you were recording Title, did you ever look back at like Ragged Tooth and go, all right, this is what they didn't like about this? Like, or were you just like, this is the plan, let's just go for it?
A little later in the record, we did put on Bandcamp, like, we were like, listen, if there's anything you guys want to hear, let us know. And they were like, long songs, piano, right? And like, that was the resounding, like, we just asked people what they wanted to hear out of it. And they came back and they said they wanted a long song and they wanted like piano breaks. So that's when we wrote the last 2 songs for that EP, which are Caravan and I want to call it Super Dave Crazy Bears, but I don't know what it's actually called.
It's Harbinger and Caravan. Although I do like the idea of a Protest the Heroes, like an epic Protest the Hero album, and then the final song is Super Dave Crazy Bears. It's a great idea.
I forget what the actual title of the song is.
It's Caravan.
Like the first. What's that?
Is it not Caravan? That's what I've got on the track listing.
No, it's the one before Caravan.
Oh, so then Harbinger.
Yeah. And also, I don't think I've ever told anyone this before, but the first lyrics to Harbinger, because it was previously titled Super Dave Crazy Bears, like it's like an acrostic. If you go down, it's SDCB. Right?
Super
so
Dave Crazy Bears.
Right? It's the first lyric is really Super Dave Crazy Bears. Which is maybe the stupidest thing anyone's ever penned.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid, but that's fun stupid. That's good stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a level of stupid that's like That's like when you're watching a comic book movie with somebody and they're like, oh, here's a little thing from like Mr. Fantastic number 85 or whatever. Like, I would have never noticed it had you not told me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the initials for Super Dave Crazy Bear, so it's like and that's another example of like these lyrics that sound very poetic, but ultimately I was just trying to fit Super Dave Crazy Bears into the lyrics, so that the lyrics mean nothing.
All right, so I have to ask now, when are we going to hear a Protest the Hero concept album about Super Dave and his Crazy Bears?
I don't know. Honestly, I am a big fan of Super Dave, R.I.P., but I can't imagine we're going to be writing a song about that anytime soon.
Moving away from Protest the Hero, you just put out a solo EP, literally just a couple weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
It's a little different from the protest stuff, more like pop punky kind of territory. What inspired you and motivated you to go solo?
Like when we were doing Palimpsest, I set up a studio in my basement. Right, I didn't want to leave my house. I just had a kid, and I wanted to be here for my wife as much as possible while she was on her mat leave. So I set up a studio in my basement, and it's become like kind of vital to me. Like all I do now is make music, and I recorded those songs last February. I took 2 months off drinking to lose some weight and gain some clarity, and I learned to produce some stuff, and those are the 3 songs that I made in that time period. And I have many others. I have another record that I've recorded at home that's coming out at the end of this month.
Oh wow!
And it's very different. It's like acoustic stuff, sort of, and piano and stuff like that. And I don't know. Just I've always wanted to do music without my friends, because I don't know, when you're not doing it with anyone else, you don't have anyone getting in the way of your creative vision.
I feel that. Nobody going, hey, that bass part's stupid, or that vocals is whatever.
Yeah, it's really nice to collaborate with people, but it's something that I've been doing all my life. So this was something that I just wanted to do for myself, and I've found a passion in writing music solo. So I just want to put as much music out into the world as possible, because I have so many fucking ideas, right? And I just, instead of just getting them down, I want to get them down and get them out to people, be it for better or worse.
The title track sees you defending Taylor Swift quite vigorously. Where did this come from? Did somebody badger you for daring to enjoy Taylor Swift? What happened?
No, I think it's more about myself, like being like, oh, I'm a big metal guy, and I sing in a metal band, and you gotta only like the cool stuff. And I've always really liked Taylor Swift's music, and it's just about being mature enough and comfortable enough with who I am to admit to myself and the world that it's like, there ain't nothing wrong with liking music that, I'd say that other people don't, but everybody fucking loves Taylor Swift. It's not like a revelation.
Oh yeah, no one wants to admit it, but everyone likes her on some level.
Yeah,
and she makes good songs.
And I also wanted to acknowledge that it's like how fucked up it is. Like, I didn't want a white knight, and it comes off a little white knighty, but I just watched that documentary about her, how that fucking radio DJ squeezed her ass and then tried to sue her. And it's just it's so fucked up to me. It's thinking about this is one of the most powerful people in the world, and she is still not free from just grabbing hands.
Mm-hmm.
The little grubby little fucking men's hands. She's not free from that shit. How is that?
I remember that case too. Wasn't that the same producer that Kesha went to court with, if I'm not mistaken?
No, that was a different fella.
Okay.
That was the actual producer. This was just a radio DJ.
Oh, okay.
And there's a picture of the event, right? And like, how fucking dare you try and sue her? Like he lost his job, right? So he tried to fucking sue her. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You assaulted her. You assaulted one of the most powerful people in the world. You're very lucky that you only lost your job.
Yeah, you're lucky you didn't lose your life. My God.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just like, and like that's the reality of the situation is that like, and what this teaches people is that it's like there are very little consequences in this world for assaulting women, and that's. I think that Taylor Swift has done an incredible job of attempting to teach everyone that there are fucking consequences.
You know what's kind of sad, though, is that if that were to happen right now, that guy probably wouldn't have lost his job.
Yeah.
Because I think about, like, the Meghan Markle situation, and Piers Morgan, I think his name is, he was just like, oh, well, you know, it's because she's a bitch or whatever, and this guy was like, no, you're just stop it, you're stupid. And it turned into this big spectacle for the world to see. And he didn't lose his job. He left because they were like, oh, I'm not going to let them cancel me. It's like, dude, you said something shitty.
Dude, cancel culture is, like, my favorite and least favorite thing. Like, it's my favorite because it's, like...
I feel that.
It's not an organization, right? So it's, like, nobody can fucking stop it. Right? It's, like, it's true democracy.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like... so many people rising up and being like, we don't feel like supporting this anymore. We're not going to purchase it and we're not going to pay attention to it. That it eventually goes away. Mm-hmm. Right? But then it's also my least favorite because it's like, it's given the like very conservative minded individuals a boogeyman of their own creation.
Oh,
right?
Especially they're leaning on that shit so hard lately. Like, my God.
Yeah, like Dr. Seuss and Potato Head and like all this stuff, and it's like you can't seriously sit here and first of all, it's his fucking foundation that's removing these fucking
and it's 6 books.
Second of all,
it's 6 books, not all of them. You can still read Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, and a lot of these people that are defending these images and comparing it to that Nicki Minaj song, the Wet Ass Pussy song, right? Like they haven't seen the images in these books where black people are portrayed as like, you know, pot-bellied, big-lipped, fucking grass skirt-wearing wild people, right? But they have this huge problem with this wet-ass pussy song that's not for fucking children. And I think when you boil it right down, the problem is they don't like black people.
Yep.
Right? Like
right.
That's what it is.
And they don't, in the case of Wet Ass Pussy, they don't like black people being confident about who they are.
Yeah.
Like, they don't like black people, they don't like black women being like, yeah, we like sex and we like to fuck, and sometimes it's nasty. Sometimes it's not clean.
Yeah. And it's like, that song's not for children.
No.
You know, these fucking Dr. Seuss books, like, adults are... you know, clear-eyed enough that we can look at these images and go, this is an antiquated image from 100 years ago. It doesn't fucking apply now. Like, people don't, you know, like, we can look at it and kind of laugh at it as sort of, like, antiquated history. But it's for children, right? And they don't have that same perception. They don't have that same, like, mental acuity to be like, oh, like, they are learning from these images. So fuck it, get rid of them.
And the killer thing is that conservatives seem to think that, oh, Joe Biden and AOC, they all came together to cancel this. Dr. Seuss did this of their own volition. Like, no one made Dr. Seuss do this. No one.
And it's in accordance to his own wishes. Like, he has his own stated regret about the racist imagery in his own work. Right? Like, it's all there, you know, like all you have to do is just like ignore the Facebook memes and look it up on fucking Google and you'll get the actual answer.
Oh yeah. And
it's not AOC, it's not fucking Biden, it's not the radical left.
Yeah.
God damn, it's frustrating shit.
And it's just getting more ridiculous. Like the big thing now is like they got like 2 promotional images from Space Jam out. And people are like, Lola Bunny doesn't have a big chest. And I'm like, yeah, because it's a kid's cartoon. It's like, have you guys... And And it's like, oh, well, she had it in the other movie. It's like, yeah, because it was the 90s and they didn't give a shit. Now we do.
Yeah.
And in that case especially, people are like, oh, they canceled Lola. It's like, you're aware that Lola's been in other Bugs Bunny cartoons and not had a gigantic chest, right? Like, this isn't new.
Like, these movies just aren't being made for you to go fucking sit in the theater and jerk off to.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out.
Yeah, if your big issue with a movie is...
basketball movie.
Yeah, if your big issue with a basketball movie is the cartoon rabbit doesn't have big enough tits, you got more problems than cancel culture.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And, like, there's so many, like, cartoon tits on the internet. It's like, just, you know, like,
honestly,
cool it, chill out, open up your laptop, and fucking Google cartoon tits. You'll have so many you won't even know what to fucking do with yourself.
Oh, honestly. It's getting to the point, like, I was sitting here with my girlfriend, and I turned on Smash Bros, Super Smash Bros, for, like, the first time in a couple months. And they've got, like, this new DLC character that's got huge fucking anime tits, and she's like, oh my god. Like, it's gotten to the point where if you want anime tits, all you have to do is turn on the TV. It's not that hard to find them. But these people are like, oh, I can't, it's a bunny.
She had big cans, and the other one, it's not canon.
Yeah, it's not canon. There we go. And even the Pepe Le Pew thing as well. It's like, oh, they canceled him because he assaults girls. I'm like, yeah, that's why. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, at a time where the last 4 years the president has, like, made it okay to assault people.
Yeah.
We need to go back and just, like, get rid of all the stuff that put us in that place in the first place.
Yeah,
you know?
I could picture Pepe Le Pew, like, Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
He's an inspiration. I love that guy.
I just don't understand why people give a fuck, right? Like, this is children's stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and these are big companies that are deciding to get rid of it. It's like, it's not going to affect you in any way. Like, I got a 3-year-old. He doesn't give a fuck about Bugs Bunny. He doesn't give a fuck about any of that stuff. All he cares about are these fucking weird YouTube videos that are coming straight out of Korea, and they're singing about steamed buns all the time. Like, that's what he gives a fuck about. Right?
Now, if we censor steamed buns, then we've got a problem.
Yeah, if you censor steamed buns on Cocoa Melon, we got a fucking issue, man.
Oh, man, and it's
who gives
just
a shit? It's
honestly, and it's,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's just like, man, who cares? I don't give a shit if it's Mrs. Potato Head. I don't give a shit if it's Colonel Potato Head. It's a fucking potato. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and I'm not playing with it anyway.
Yeah, let the kids decide if they like it. They're the ones buying this shit. They're the ones that are gonna play with it. I'm not. I don't think I ever even owned a Mr. Potato Head.
Let them create whatever the fuck they want.
Come to think of it,
at the end of the day, that's just like a marketing ploy. It's like, oh, are potato sales down? Potato toy sales down? Well, let's stir up some controversy.
Yeah, pretty much. The killer is, I don't think I've ever even owned a Mr. Potato Head.
Here we are talking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, here we are talking about it, promoting this idea.
Yeah.
Like, agree or disagree. Like, everybody's fucking talking about it. People are gonna buy so many fucking potato heads.
Oh, controversy sells. Even bad publicity is still good publicity.
And what we should really be doing is being more conscious of the amount of fucking plastic we're bringing into this world.
Yeah, my God.
Right?
Like
it's like potato heads regardless.
Yeah. Can we just make actual potato heads with potatoes, grow a bunch of potatoes, make a bunch of toys, get rid of plastic, multiple birds, one stone?
Yeah, whittle them out of wood and drill some holes in them.
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
The shittiest toy.
Probably would, actually. You get one kid that trips and it just breaks because it's made of tree bark or some shit. And even then you'll get like some other kid that's like, whatever, it's not Fortnite, I don't care.
Yeah, that's exactly true. Video games are sick. Like, fuck toys.
Honestly, I was just saying to myself, I don't think I've ever even owned a Mr. Potato Head, but I've had an Xbox, I've had a Nintendo Wii, the fucking PlayStation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, my God.
But, like, those are kind of good things. Like, sure, they have plastic components, but it's like, you buy one of those, and you keep it for years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, video games could save this earth, man.
Oh, yeah. Especially because now most of them are all digital. Like, even before COVID, I didn't have to go to a GameStop or a Walmart to buy something. I could just be like, all right, I bought it, and now it's going to be downloaded on my Xbox in like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, all joking aside, video games are going to save the future.
Oh, yeah. Wow, we went way off topic. My God. I'm sure my more conservative listeners will love that big rant we just did.
I mean, I think that's the point of podcasts, isn't it?
Yeah,
Long
exact. Yeah.
diatribes.
I've always said
And
to
there's
people, go ahead and dislike the video. A dislike is still a view.
Yeah, I mean, there's also that like skip ahead 30 seconds button. I'm sure people might be mashing that right now.
It's all good. Something that I find kind of fascinating about what you're doing on Twitch is when I normally tune onto Twitch, I'm seeing a lot of people playing video games, like or they're playing guitar or drums or something, but you're writing and making music on there.
Yeah.
Did that come from just a desire to stay busy or to write more solo stuff, or why did you choose to do that over, say, I don't know, speedrunning Resident Evil or some shit?
Well, I'm not very good at video games. Like, I love video games. I used to play them on Twitch, but then it got to this point where it was like, oh, now I hate playing video games, and it's sort of, I still haven't really fully recovered my love of video games from that period where I was playing them. So I took a long time off Twitch, and then I just sort of like remapped everything I did, and I thought, like, what do I like to do that maybe people would want to witness? And it's like, I like to record and I like to write music, and I thought it might be fun to have sort of a collaborative effort with an audience, and it has been extremely rewarding. Like, the community that we've created is fucking awesome. Like, it's just a bunch of people that want to be kind to one another and have a bunch of laughs, and that's what I'm about, man. So it's fucking awesome. I'm having an absolute blast, and we're writing like this cool musical thing that I've wanted to write forever, and it's getting done. I'm really happy with my Twitch experience.
What is the strangest thing you've written during a Twitch stream?
Oh yeah. There was one night where I was like, I want to fucking paint my face. So I bought a bunch of face paints and brushes, and then I went and found like a tutorial that I thought I could do, and I painted my face like a cat, and then I wrote a song. I wrote a song really quickly that was like highly suggestive. Obviously, it's supposed to be written from my perspective as a cat, but like a dirty little cat, and it's like, obviously I used the word pussy instead of cat the whole time, and it's highly suggestive, and maybe the stupidest thing that anyone has ever written, not even just me.
Yeah, that definitely sounds stupid. I don't even know what to say.
It's really stupid. It's very catchy though, because it's all just Apple loops, so it's like, it sounds really good.
As soon as you said cat makeup, honest to God, in my head, I went, "Oh my God, that motherfucker covered like something from the Cats musical, didn't he?"
Oh, I mean, Memories would be beautiful, but
oh
no.
my God, I would. You know what? I'm gonna make a special request for the next Protest record or Rody Walker solo record or whatever. I need like a really high octane, thrashy prog metal version of Memories.
I mean, that's a pretty cool idea. I could make that happen on Twitch, like tickety boom,
I picture it just brilliantly, like Memories, and like just huge slams of like blast beats and like massive guitars and keyboards and angelic choirs.
I mean, that would be sick.
It sounds stupid as fuck, but in like the best way possible.
And I'm always looking for something different to do on Twitch. So I may just do that.
With the music on Twitch, could that ever be released in like a more official kind of capacity, maybe like an EP or another solo record or something?
Yeah, the musical, like we've been calling it a slopera, but I've been working on it for like almost a year. And I'm going to release it. We're 9 songs in at this point, and I think there's at least one more that has to be done. And Lauren Babbick's going to sing on it. My buddy Milen's going to sing on it. And I have a super secret special guest that's going to sing on it that I think prog metal fans are going to be super excited about. But then, yeah, like I've got it all lined up. Like Milen, who did all the orchestration for Palimpsest, is going to orchestrate the whole thing as well. And then I got a fellow lined up to mix it. He worked on Palimpsest as well, so I think it's gonna come out pretty sick.
And just for the people at home that maybe have no idea what we're talking about, what kind of musical is this?
I mean, like, it's sort of like Les Mis in space with dinosaurs and heavy guitars. And when you make me say it like that, it seems really fucking stupid. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Les Mis in space with a lot of guitars. All right, I'm sold.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I like that. I like that way more than my cat's idea. Fuck that. Jesus.
Well, I can still do the cat's idea, and I think I'm going to, if you don't mind.
It's gonna by all means. Maybe it'll get to the point where we're doing like Les Mis on Monday night, Cats on Tuesday night, and whatever the hell you're cooking up on Wednesday night. It'd be the Rody Walker plays your favorite musical series.
I mean, I love musical theater, to be honest with you. Like, that's the one thing. Like, I always kind of knew that I loved musical theater, but you know how, like, I don't know if you're on TikTok at all, but the algorithm just kind of, like, learns you and then shows you what you want to see. And honestly, all I see are people singing things from musical theater, and I fucking love it.
I've come to really appreciate a lot of theater. Ironically, in a time when I can't even go see these plays. So, like, I'll look up old, like, Broadway movies and stuff, like the Sweeney Todd and even the old Cats, not the new movie.
Yeah.
And Hamilton as well on Disney Plus. So, yeah, I'm really into that stuff. I'm hoping that if COVID ever ends in Toronto, I could actually go see a Broadway play, but we'll see.
Hamilton was the very last thing I did before everything shut down. Like, we went to see it at the, like, Queen Elizabeth Theater, whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, shit.
And it was, like, I want to say that was, like, a Saturday, and then Thursday everything was done. Right? It was,
Damn.
like, the last time I fucking went out. I went to see Hamilton, and, like, it was so strange between acts. We were standing in the lobby, and, like, you hear people coughing, and then as soon as someone coughs, everyone looks around, and then people were being, like talking about it. Like, I remember this old man said to me, he was like, "You got nothing to worry about. It's us who have to worry." Like,
it's just like, no, I feel like I have to worry, but okay.
Yeah. Like, everyone was just, like, sort of like, there was this nervous energy where it was like everybody is aware of this situation, and it's, like, building importance to the world, but like, we weren't quite at that. We weren't quite at that moment where it was like, this is a fucking emergency. You know what I mean?
I remember actually about a week before lockdown started, I actually went to a full-blown rock concert. I saw Cult of Luna and Intronaut and Emma Ruth Rundle at the Opera House, and that was weird because at that point, I remember I can't remember if it was my girlfriend or someone like that, but I remember someone telling me, be careful downtown, and I heard about this thing called COVID, and at the time, you know, I was just kind of like, oh, whatever, it's fucking, I'm just gonna go party, and then a week later, you know, boom. And it's crazy to think back in retrospect that we were like, there was this, like, period where COVID was here, but we were just like, we don't know how to deal with this yet. And then lockdown comes, and it's like, okay, freak out, I guess. Go buy 20,000 rolls of toilet paper.
Well, you remember the night that they canceled that basketball game, and then, like, the entire NBA was like, we're shut down. And then the next day, the NHL was like, we're shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, fuck. Like, everything is stopping.
Yeah.
It's like, I was at the gym I want to say it was a Thursday, like the Thursday. I think I was there with my dad, and we were lifting weights, blah, 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 but they were fucking being really weird. There was very few people there, and they were spraying everything down, like constantly spraying everything down. And I was like, I think I'm fucking done here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to. And then my dad went the next day, and he was like, yeah, it's fucking weird. And neither of us have been back since.
I think the point where I was like, all right, this is for realsies and I should be concerned was when I was at work. Before pandemic times, I actually worked for Jamie Oliver at his restaurant in Square One. And I remember we had this staff meeting where we were talking about, like, okay, this is the deal with COVID. We don't know, we need to start doing this. We need to start doing this because it's an open kitchen. So we need to do all this stuff. Robert, you're going to need to do this with your team and blah, blah, blah. And it got to a point where the day before I called up my boss, the head chef, and I just kind of went, look, I don't know what Jamie's policy is on all this. We haven't heard from anyone. I don't know what the parent company wants to do or whatever, but this is nuts. Like, I don't know if I feel comfortable coming into work. And I remember he said, well, don't worry about it because we're shutting down tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and since Jamie, the Jamie restaurants aren't even, they're like gone. Like, they're closed down now too, so.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. And here I am a year later talking to Rody Walker in my goddamn pajamas.
I'm fully dressed. I still get up and shower and get dressed every day, just trying to keep my head right,
Mm-hmm. I certainly try to, but there are some days where it's like, you know what? I don't gotta go anywhere. Fridge is stocked. I got beer. I'm gonna just stay here in my pajamas.
Yeah, fair enough. I need to get some beer.
And like I recently just moved further into the city as well, so like there's an LCBO on every corner, so I'm just like constantly stocked with stuff.
I'm out in the suburbs, man. There's enough beer stores and LCBOs to get by, and plus I got a truck, so which obviously in the city you don't fucking need.
No, God, no. I live pretty close to the St. Clair subway station, so I haven't needed to take a bus or anything for a while, or let alone get in a truck.
Yeah.
One thing, a lot of other guys I talk to from bands when they come on here, they talk a lot about already writing a new album because they're like, fuck it, we're here at home, we got to do something.
Yeah.
What are the chances that Protest the Hero could put out another record within, say, the next year or something like that?
Chances aren't great, but we are writing. There is sort of an addendum to Palimpsest that I really want to put out into the world as soon as possible. So there will be a release from Protest the Hero within this year. And then we have some plans that we're also working on for a future release. Because why the fuck not? Like, I'm sure it's what everyone's saying. It's like, there's nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. No, I remember when I even, a year ago, even at that Intronaut show, they were straight up saying, yeah, we're already writing a new record because we heard about this COVID thing and we don't want to run out of shit to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, we got really fortunate, right? Like, we had a record written, recorded, and ready to go when COVID hit. So it was like a couple of months into it, we launched it, and we were no worse for the wear, like, as far as our, like, actual business goes. Whereas, there's a lot of bands that had to sort of shut down. Like, I know, I can't think of their name. It's Alex from not Beneath the Massacre. Fuck, man, I can't remember anything. Regardless, I know of bands that have actually had to close their doors and be like, we can't afford to continue playing as a band. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we got very lucky that we had this record ready to go, and and we got lucky that people liked it and wanted to purchase it, and it's sort of like this keeping food in the mouth of my child, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, I've heard of a lot of bands do that. I think the biggest one for me was when Anathema called it quits, because that's like a a big English prog rock band with a lot of hit records under their belt.
Yeah.
And I think
I
that
gotta
was
be honest. I've never heard of Anathema.
okay. Totally fair.
but
No,
but I
they're
mean, I'm not very plugged into shit, right? Like,
no, it's all good. But they're like a big prog rock band, and in the '90s they were into like a lot of like really underground shit. So they're like influential. But I remember that being the point where I was like, oh my god, this is really fucking up people's lives and careers. Because for myself, it's
Yeah.
not something I think about because I'm like, whatever, I can just get a job. I mean, restaurants are closed for dine-in service, but there's places still open, so. But
yeah.
there are people who are like, their entire lifestyle, their entire way of making a living has been completely shut off.
Yeah. I mean, my wife and I got super fortunate. Her company was like, go home, get a good chair and a desk. You're working from home for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
And, they haven't really had any hiccups. So as far as luck goes, we have been very fortunate. But I know there are some people who have not been as fortunate, and it is what it is, really.
Yeah, you do the best you can with the cards that have been dealt, you know?
Yeah.
I want to ask you one more thing, and then I might have to get going, because my girlfriend's getting off work soon, so I gotta make dinner.
Beautiful.
I can't just
make the dinner around here too.
I can't just sit around all day. I can't just play video games and talk to you. I gotta do something. Something I literally just noticed this morning. Mystery Weekend has a Christmas EP.
Yeah,
and
Christmassy weekend.
I noticed I noticed in the title it says Volume 1. Can we expect a Christmas album series from Mystery Weekend?
I would hope so. I mean, writing music with Mystery Weekend is some of the most fun shit that I have been a part of. And I love writing Christmas shit. I don't know why. Like, obviously, I'm not a Christian. I don't believe that a man named Jesus Christ walked the earth. But fuck, I love Christmas. And writing Christmas songs is just so much fun.
It's interesting because I'm a bit of a Grinch, full disclosure, but keep in mind I work in like restaurants and stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm listening to this EP and I'm like, God, if more Christmas music was like this, I'd probably like more Christmas music.
And that's kind of the idea, is we're writing Christmas music for people that don't want to listen to your standard Christmas stuff over and over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, that's not too many people, but it's all right because it's fun, and it's not like it costs us money or hurts anyone. It's just fun shit to do.
Could we see like a Christmas in July kind of deal, or do I have to wait a full year?
I think it's gonna be the full year, but we also want to release some more Mystery Weekend stuff. We have a couple songs that we're sitting on that are pretty fun, so there might be a Mystery Weekend release at some point this year. We'll see.
Oh, cool! I'd be super down for a regular record as well. Doesn't have to be Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, there will be a Christmas record. You mark my words.
Just like, now you listen here, motherfucker. There's definitely gonna be Christmas, and you're gonna
There's
like
no
it.
doubt in my mind about this Christmas record.
That's all I got for you. Thank you very much, Rody.
Cool, man. It was very nice talking to you. I hope you take care, Robert, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day.
I hope you do too. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, sometime in the near future, we can share a drink in person and not have to worry about giving each other a deadly virus.
That would be fantastic.
You take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, take care, bud.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Rody Walker from Protest the Hero. That definitely went on longer than I expected, but I'm not fucking complaining because I had a goddamn blast. Make sure you press like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you heard here today, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.